Welcome to Gorilla Sports Off Court. I'm your host for today, Liv Moods, and this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome into another Gorilla Sports Off Court. I'm your host for today, Liv Moods, and we have plenty to talk about. There are storylines across the NBA that I want to get into, most of which do not pertain to the Denver Nuggets. As you guys know, though, the Denver Nuggets are now tied in this series versus the Los Angeles Clippers 2-2. My Nuggets in 6 is still alive and well. I think Game 5 will be a huge indicator as to which direction this is swinging. We know the Nuggets will be at home playing tomorrow against the Los Angeles Clippers. We'll get into all things Denver Nuggets towards the end of the show. But for now, I want to talk about some of the big things that happened this weekend. OKC swept the Memphis Grizzlies, unfortunately. And the reason I say unfortunately is whoever comes out of this Clippers-Nuggets series, and we are hoping and praying that it is the Denver Nuggets, there will be a large rest advantage for OKC, which, of course, you're not really entirely sure how rest looks on every team. Rest versus rust, sometimes just carrying over that momentum works in favor of a team. But we also know if it is Denver that happens to advance and has to take on the Oklahoma City Thunder, Denver has struggled in the postseasons before with a little bit of exhaustion and not playing to their fullest potential because of injuries or just not being in full health, whatever that may be. So there is a little bit of a worry there for me. I believe OKC will be looking at 9 days of rest because they swept the Grizzlies. But on the topic of the Grizzlies, I want to talk about Ja Morant. We were seeing in that Game 3 before Ja Morant was out with an injury that it was close. It was a little bit more competitive, and that does just show how exceptional Ja Morant is. I will say in the nicest way possible. And I guess some of this you can put on Ja Morant, but some of it is just maybe the letdown that has been the Memphis Grizzlies. Sometimes or lately, I have felt like Ja Morant has just, his potential hasn't felt like it was as high as I anticipated it being. Ja Morant at one point in this league was the type of player that you kind of pictured having a similar trajectory to Anthony Edwards, making these deep playoff runs, upsetting, the Los Angeles Lakers, going toe-to-toe with LeBron James. You pictured that for Ja Morant, given the style of play that he had. He played with a very exciting and electric and physical style of play. I think what worried a lot of people about that is that you do run the risk of injuries when you play the style of ball that Ja Morant plays. That being said, Ja Morant did make some comments, and I know you're probably thinking I'm going to sit here and just flame him. I'm not going to do that, but we are going to play his comments for you, and then I will get into my reaction afterwards. So let's hear from Ja Morant after the Oklahoma City Thunder eliminated the Memphis Grizzlies in a sweep. Let's check it out.
I'm even scared to answer this question because, stuff I say normally go viral and they tend to stick with you for forever. But I had them figured out. And going out, Game 3, not being able to play was frustrating because that win right there could have made this totally different. I felt like we'll be on our way to OKC series tied 2-2 right now.
Is a very obvious reason why I think Ja Morant chose to word himself a little bit differently and made those comments about things that I say go viral. If you remember, Ja Morant a couple of seasons ago did say, I'm fine in the West. He wasn't worried about the Western Conference. And then he went head-to-head against the Golden State Warriors, and things looked a little different. He got to see what the West is all about. It's tough for me because Ja really was that player for so long that, like I said, had the potential to be the face of the NBA. The style in which he played, the way he carried himself, the confidence that he constantly had was something that I was really excited to see develop over the course of his career. it really does feel like that off-season or off-court issue stuff that he was dealing with kind of put a wrench in his system a little bit. And what we're watching with this Grizzlies team is just a lot of young talent. They play an exciting game. There's a lot of things you really like about how they play. They're just falling short. And when you did watch John Morant go out with injury in game 3, it did completely change the series. And I'm not saying that what he said was wrong, because I don't think it was. We watched in the game that he was active and invested in and starting to figure out this OKC team. It was the closest the series had looked. It was the most competitive this series had looked between the Grizzlies and OKC. Unfortunately, it feels like there's just wasted potential there with Ja, whether it be just the injuries that he has in the style of game that he plays or the off-court issues that he deals with. And those are getting better, but still you're seeing the celebrations and him kind of poking fun at the off-court issues that he had. But really, it's not funny. It bums me out because I feel like those off-court issues really did throw a wrench in his system. And we watched John Morant on this trajectory, this Anthony Edwards trajectory. And then those off-court issues really did kind of put all of that on pause. And then you throw him back into it. He's still playing that very high level, exciting, aggressive, physical basketball. He's dealing with injuries. It just feels like, and some of this is in his control, yes, and some of this is his fault. Some of it is not. And that's what bums me out, is I just feel like, what is it going to take for Ja Morant to get back on that Anthony Edwards trajectory, because he really is such a talented player. And this series probably would have looked a little bit different had Ja Morant been in full health for games 3 and game 4. But unfortunately, we will never know. OKC has been dominating all season long. They are a team where you want to be fully prepared. You want to be in full strength. You want to be in full health. And that's something that the Clippers and the Nuggets now have to look forward to, depending on who comes out of this series. So I was proud of Ja, because he definitely did preface it with, you could tell he's getting a little more polished in his responses. I think after the "I'm fine in the West" comment, he is learning what he should and shouldn't say and or how to say it. But I agree with Ja here. I really do. I think that had he been healthy and available for this entire series, it would have looked a little bit different. So unfortunately, we'll never know, but maybe it was just enough for this OKC team to be aware that while a series you may go up 2-0, there's still competitors in this league across the board. And hopefully either the Clippers or the Nuggets can, give the OKC Thunder team a little slice of humble pie. You guys really hate the word humble lately. I don't know what it is. When I say that someone needs to be humbled, it becomes a much deeper issue, and I'm not really sure why. The next topic that I want to get into here is about officiating in the NBA. Now, let me start by saying this. Officiating in the NBA has always been bad, okay? This is not new information. There's always been calls that are make or break. And I will say in the Knicks-Pistons game, there were calls that were in favor of one side and then in favor of the other. I'm not blaming necessarily the officials in this game for how this game ended, but in critical moments, when it's down to the wire, when it is truly an end-of-game call that determines how a game ends, that's where I get really frustrated. And I kind of want to have a deeper conversation about, how do we hold these NBA officials accountable when their decision truly changes how a game ends? We're going to run that clip first, John. I want to play the clip from the Knicks-Pistons game so you guys can see this was not called a foul. Pay attention to the 3-point line. This was not determined a foul. And also pay attention to the time left on the clock and the score in this game. Let's check it out and we'll reconvene.
Loose ball on the floor. Picked up Hardaway, 2 seconds left. Puts up the shot. No! And the game is over. J.B. Bickerstaff is on the floor irate. He thought there should have been a foul called on the Hardaway shot. But the Knicks have won it 94-93 and take a 3-1 series lead. Call on Josh Hart here against Hardaway.
Good up fake. I think there's contact on Tim Hardaway's right side as he gets Hart in the air. Most often, you're going to get a call on this play. Right there is just contact as Hardaway leaves the floor. But we know there's been a lot today that was not.
So it's tough, right? Because I understand that these refs in the moment, they've got their eyes. It's very different from the POV of people watching at home. It's very different when you get to slow things down. So I actually took to Twitter immediately and said, that's 3 shots. That's a foul. Keep in mind, the Pistons down by 1 with time expired. Okay. You put him at the free throw line for 3 shots. You hope and pray he at least makes 1, but there's a chance he makes 2, maybe 3, and the Pistons win that game. And this series looks completely different. To be down 3-1 versus tied at 2-2 is a huge difference. Now, if you're sitting there as a Knicks fan and you're going, BS, it was not a foul. Well, let's pull up the screenshot of the NBA official coming forward and saying, after we were able to watch the film, so during the live play, it was judged that Josh Hart made a legal defensive play. After post-game review, we observed that Hart makes body contact that is more than marginal for Hardaway Jr., and a foul should have been called. How do we hold NBA officials more accountable? I get it. You could make the case about the fact that the Pistons should have done a few other things right in this game, and it didn't need to be that close in the end. And so one call or missed call by the officials shouldn't be the determining factor. But when it is no time left, time has expired, end of game, and this Pistons team is down by 1 point, and you miss a foul at the 3-point line, how do we hold these officials accountable? In critical time, in critical calls, these officials need to be held accountable. It didn't just cost the Detroit Pistons the game. Unfortunately, I think that missed call might have cost them the series. And again, I know you could probably look at this entire game, rewatch it back 100 times and say, well, they didn't really lose in that moment. They lost in other ways. Of course, that's the game of basketball, right? There's 4 quarters to be competitive, and if you lose, you lose. But in that way, in such a critical moment with time expired, and you missed a call that could have not only kept the Pistons alive in this game, but kept them alive in this series, it really does feel like that was their last opportunity to win this series. So in so many ways, if you're a Pistons fan, you probably feel like that missed call just ruined everything for you. You've watched this Pistons team go from 0 to hero and climb their way into this playoffs and make a name for themselves and play at such a high level. And that one moment really did feel like a momentum shifter and not in the favor of the Pistons. And so, again, I understand bad calls will happen all the time. NBA officials are not perfect, and they never will be, and we have to understand that. But how do we create an accountability system for NBA officials? When a game is on the line, this game went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The game was on the line, and you miss a call that could have been, Hardaway could have made that 3 potentially without a foul. Game would have looked different. You put Hardaway at the line and he makes 1, 2, maybe 3, you at least get overtime. So I understand there's a lot that goes into winning or losing an NBA game, and there's probably a lot of different things that the Pistons could have done differently to win this game, of course. But in those big moments, when it truly does change the outcome of the game, that's really tough. And I do think there has to be an accountability system for NBA officials. That is a crazy thing to miss. And to go down 3-1 in a series, or 1-3, I guess. But for the Knicks to go up 3-1 in this series, and that game probably, I could say with a lot of certainty, would have looked very different, and this series likely would have been tied had that call not been missed. Feels like there's some NBA officials that don't just give me an apology. That doesn't change the fact that the Knicks are now up 3-1 and won that game. But we've got to create an accountability system for calls that are missed. And coming out later and saying, upon further review, there actually was a foul. What, like, you're just putting salt in the wound. Like, we can't go back. Honestly, the first thing that flew out of my mouth in a moment like that, void the game. It didn't count. I mean, that is a costly error. Right. And this Pistons team now down by 2 games in this series. Things probably would have felt and looked a little bit different had they tied it up, and they really had the chance to. And they were robbed of that chance because of a missed call. So the accountability system needs to be, I'm not sure exactly what that looks like and how to make that happen, but at some point it needs to be a thing, because that's a really tough thing to miss. And they're not perfect. They're going to make mistakes. We know this. So that's not my point in saying this. But my point is, there's got to be some way in which refs are held accountable for changing the outcome of the game. It's virtually a choke job by the refs. And you don't want to see that. We know it happens from time to time. But coming back later and admitting it after the outcome has already been settled and the Knicks won that game is really tough. It's really tough. If you're going to come out later and say, we made a really big mistake, okay, how do we then, like, you've now admitted to the mistake. How do we fix this from one, happening again, and two, holding these refs accountable? That's my question. So, okay, on to the next topic. We have talked about Ja Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. What does Ja's future look like with Memphis? Is this wasted potential with Memphis? Ja was on the trajectory to be the next Anthony Edwards, or with Anthony Edwards, kind of in that same lane, I feel like, that young, exciting player that has that perfect blend of old school, new school, and is just exceptionally fun to watch. And then he dealt with some things in his, off-court issues, off-season stuff. And now he's riddled with injuries and we can't seem to get him back on track. So what does that look like for Ja in Memphis? And then, of course, how do we hold our NBA officials accountable? Because that missed call, when it's do or die and the game is on the line, it's really tough to make those mistakes. Next thing I want to talk about with a very, very heavy heart is Damian Lillard. And I am not sure if that has been confirmed or not, but it was feared that he had a left Achilles tear. I think when all of us saw the injury, it was very, very clear what had happened. You never want to go there because Achilles to me is like one of the worst of the worst. You're just like, but the way in which he stood up, it was a non-contact injury that put him down. The way he stood up, the way he couldn't put pressure on it. I think most of us right away knew exactly what had happened. But let's check out Dame's non-contact injury and then talk a little bit about Damian Lillard.
Last game, they couldn't stop Trent. That one was off balance. Lillard volleyballs it over, and Lillard goes down with an injury. He's grabbing his high ankle of the left leg at the 5:57 mark. Kuzma comes over to help Damian, and he's trying to put pressure on his left leg.
Yeah, it looked like it happened before that play. Great presence of mind to tip the ball to the corner there, but you see him grabbing that left ankle. Foul was called. He was not moving as he's putting no pressure on that foot. So not a good sign here from Milwaukee and Damian Lillard, who has struggled with injuries, particularly as of late, having sat out the last 14 games of the regular season.
Right calf deep vein thrombosis. There were serious concerns for Damian Lillard at the end of the regular season. Returning to the lineup.
Oh my gosh. It really does devastate me. Like you guys were able to hear the commentators say, Damian missed a lot of the regular season due to that deep vein thrombosis situation that also Victor Wembanyama was dealing with. Gets back, gets ready to go. And just like that, it has been confirmed he did tear his Achilles tendon and is out for the remainder of the season. Of course, he had just returned from that blood clot injury. This is not only a devastating loss for the Bucks, but also for Damian Lillard. Okay, I'm just sitting here thinking about Damian Lillard as a player. And this does not mean that all hope is lost for the Bucks and for Dame being a part of Milwaukee, but it does just feel like, this man, he was loyal to a franchise, maybe to a fault. He was there for forever. He finally spoke up and said, I want out. He goes to Milwaukee, and it just hasn't really worked out for him. And you really hate to see these legends on what you would probably assume is kind of the tail end of his career, just given that he's getting older. His body is clearly going through a little bit more. He's a little bit more injury prone, and you just hate to see stuff like this. You hate to see a guy like Damian Lillard finally speak up, get me out of here. I want to go somewhere else. He goes somewhere else, and it just has not worked. It just has not worked. In the first season with Giannis, there were a lot of issues there. Injured team, new coach. It just didn't click as quickly as I think a lot of people thought. There were a lot of people telling me the Bucks are going to win it all. And I said, slow down, relax. There's a lot of changes over here in Milwaukee. I'm not sure they're all going to be seamless right from jump. So you had a little bit of grace and some patience there, knowing like it's going to take them a second. When you've got two superstars like that, and the Bucks are also working through new coaching and all of that, it's going to take some time. And then you get him this season dealing with some health stuff, dealing with that blood clot injury. And then you get him back for the playoffs, which is a huge difference maker. I did predict that the Bucks were going to upset the Pacers in this series. Obviously, not having Damian Lillard and then having him made me all excited again. And then not to have him now, we know how this series is going to end. The Pacers will advance. And I just think that the Bucks need to get into the offseason, take care of their bodies, and keep on keeping on into next season. I don't have a ton of faith in them to come out of this series, if any at all. Is that series over? It's 3-1, right? I want to make sure. It's not already over. To be honest, the Damian Lillard stuff has been a little bit jarring for my brain because I'm trying to not get too emotional and sad about it. Yes, so Pacers up 3-1. I don't want to say it's over, but it feels pretty over. It's just one of those spots where when you lose a guy like Damian Lillard and you've got Kyle Kuzma doing not nearly enough. And what kind of help does Giannis have? You just kind of are not trying to predict the future here or be Miss Debbie Downer, but you do feel like this series is coming to an end. And it's very devastating that Damian Lillard, right when you think he's back and healthy and ready to go, he is not. So, I hate it. Yeah, there's just certain players that you just want to like protect because you just have so much love for them. And I think Damian Lillard's one of those players for me. So it's devastating. And it does kind of pose the question, how much longer does Damian Lillard have in the league? Right? I think when he left and wanted a fresh start, it hasn't really felt all that fresh, this new start of his in Milwaukee. But how much longer does he have? He's riddled with injuries and coming back from an Achilles tear is a big injury to recover from. And with the fact that he's not getting any younger, and I'm not saying he's this like old geriatric man, but in the league, he's kind of pushing it, right? So it does make you wonder what the future of Damian Lillard looks like. It does make me very sad. I just hope this is not like an Aaron Rodgers 2.0 thing, right? Where you try to force it, you come back from an Achilles tear, you get back into it because you're not done yet. And then the end of your career is just not, it doesn't match the resume that you have. And so you don't want people's lasting impression to be, oh, Dame went to Milwaukee and it was an absolute failure, because Damian Lillard is too legendary for that. But it does feel like with this injury and just the way that their season looked last year, who knows? Who knows what the future looks like for Damian Lillard? It's devastating nonetheless. I am praying for him to have a speedy recovery, and I'm very curious to know what his next steps are. Because like I said, the league is getting super young and Dame in NBA terms is on the older side. So makes you wonder what is next for Damian Lillard. Okay, speaking of young, speaking of exciting, I didn't say exciting, but speaking of young and also exciting, Anthony Edwards. Can I just say, I'm going to just take a moment here and toot my horn a little bit, okay? This is specifically for Lakers trolls. And I know you're like, oh, here she goes again, her name or our name in her mouth. Damn right. Because I tweeted some of my hot takes. Some of those still look good. Bucks over Pacers not looking so good. One of my other hot takes before the playoffs started was the Golden State Warriors to make it to the Western Conference Finals. I still think that is very likely. I also talked about the Nuggets in 6. That's still alive, whether you want to agree with it or not. It is still alive and well. And the Timberwolves to upset the Lakers. And you guys did not like that one very much. And actually, there was an overwhelming amount of Lakers fans that were in the comments kind of alluding to the fact that I was a moron for even thinking that the Timberwolves stood a chance. Who's the moron now? Sorry, not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Are we watching the same Timberwolves team? Are we on the same page about Anthony Edwards? Are you choosing not to watch what this man is capable of? Truly, I have to wonder, the people that were so quick, and I'm always okay with people disagreeing with me. Don't get it twisted. But there were a lot of comments under that tweet that were kind of alluding to the fact that the mere thought that the Timberwolves could even hold their own against the Los Angeles Lakers made me some big, stupid idiot. If I'm not mistaken, the Timberwolves are up 3-1 right now. Uh-oh! What do you know it, Lakers fans? You let your heart do the talking. You got to stop doing that. You have to stop doing that, okay? You got to look at this for what it is. The Minnesota Timberwolves, and guess what I said? I said both of these teams have size, have strength, and play a physical game. They've got shooters that know how to make their shots. We know that. LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves. Then you look at the Timberwolves side of things. Edwards, I mean, you name it, they've got it. Where did I give the edge to? Do you guys remember? Do you remember me being on this show and giving the edge to what? I gave the edge to the Timberwolves bench. Yeah, Naz Reid, forget about it. Did you guys forgot that he exists? I don't understand. To the Lakers fans that truly believed and were fighting me on Twitter for hours and hours and even days that I was an absolute moron for believing the Timberwolves stood a chance against the Lakers. Are we watching the same Timberwolves team? Have we not figured out what Anthony Edwards is capable of yet? Let's play a little Anthony Edwards clip and then we'll get into why he is the face of the NBA. Let's check it out.
Wide open, couldn't get it to fall. Edwards drives hard, gets inside and banks it home. Free throws here in the first half. The Timberwolves as a team 16. Edwards in and out and in again. Edwards razzle-dazzle inside layup, banks it in. The Ants has come alive here in the second. It's a 1 point.
He is strong. He's shifty. I mean, there isn't an individual defender or two.
Edwards puts up a three. It's good. Anthony Edwards once again.
Anthony Edwards. Is he afraid of the moment? No, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony Edwards.
Do I need to even speak? Do I need to even speak words? Probably not. You guys are petrified. Those of you that got under my tweet and tried to flame me, you're lucky I was booked and busy this weekend because I could have had my way with you on Twitter. I really could have, and I should have. Matter of fact, the day is still young. I'm going to get on Twitter here in just a bit, and I'm going to let you guys have it because what on earth were you thinking that this was going to be an easy win for the Lakers? Anthony Edwards still exists. Anthony Edwards is playing must-watch basketball. Let's not forget, this man has taken down Kevin Durant, Nikola Jokić, all in the playoffs, and here pretty soon might just take down LeBron and Luka at the same time. This man is 23 years old. You love him or hate him. He's polarizing, I guess. But you cannot deny what Anthony Edwards is and what Anthony Edwards does. And I think some of you really wanted to believe that Luka and LeBron would be more than Anthony Edwards. I think in so many ways they're pretty, you could probably get a couple of games in this series where it's pretty evenly matched and everyone's got a 30 piece and it's the best basketball we've ever watched. But at the end of the day, Anthony Edwards has that, he's got that X factor. He is must-watch basketball. Like it or not, this is a top 10, maybe 7 player in the NBA right now. There were a lot of people confused about the trade that the Timberwolves made. I was. They had continuity last year. But what I'm starting to sense is that this front office, which is exactly what the Nuggets need to also sense, knows what they've got in front of them, which is Anthony Edwards, and knows that with just the right amount of supporting cast and Anthony Edwards holding the ball the majority of the game, you're going to be okay. Anthony Edwards is him. You can stop fighting it. You can stop being upset about it. It is what it is. And the reason that I would make this man the face of the NBA if I had to pick right now in this very moment, he's got old school basketball in him. He's got new school basketball in him. He is not afraid to talk his trash. But the best part about Anthony Edwards is he backs it up every time. Every time. All this baby mama drama, I get it. I get it. You know, every time I see, more than anything, when I see more drama about baby mamas and this and baby mamas that, I more get disappointed in the athletes because it's like, what did you think was going to happen? Do we need to go back to the birds and the bees conversation? Come on. Seriously. So some of it is disappointment out of me. I'm like, really? Come on. You're him. You know you're him, and you know what a lot of these women are after. Come on now. We're not going to do this. You got to move a different way when you get to the level that Anthony Edwards is at right now. You got too much at stake to be worrying about baby mama drama. You got to worry about taking down LeBron and Luka in the playoffs, which he's looking all right now. He's looking all right. Anthony Edwards, to me, it's must-watch basketball. It's must-watch basketball, and arguably, I would say, outside of maybe Nikola Jokić and the way that he's been dominating in the postseason, but actually Nikola Jokić the Clippers have been giving Nikola Jokić a hard time. I think right now the best player in the postseason is Anthony Edwards. Sorry. You can be mad at me. It's my opinion. Imagine that. I can have an opinion. I just truly have to laugh at the Lakers fans that were, you guys, go to the tweet. Go to the tweet and go read the comments on my tweet. When I said, let's see how these takes age. My opinions, my thoughts, right? All people have to say is, I like them. I don't really like this one, but no. They went straight for my jugular. Idiot, moron, loser. You know nothing. You're stupid. Really? Oh, God, you better hope. You better hope this is not a gentleman's sweep, because you prepare to be sick of me. Prepare to be sick of me if we get a gentleman's sweep in the Timberwolves-Lakers series, because I sat on my hands and I let you guys flame me thinking the Timberwolves were going to upset the Lakers, and I let you have your little moment. I let you feel big and strong and puff up your chest, okay? I let you have that. Prepare to be sick of me. You better hope I somehow, some way get locked out of my X account before that gentleman's sweep happens, because you will be hearing from me. I can tell you that right now. That's the difference. Oh, let's get into it. Should we? That's the difference between me and you. I love a troll, but I love a troll with patience. Get a feel for what's going on, or at least say, hey, Liv, respectfully, I disagree. I will never go after the people that were respectful about disagreeing with me. But when you're quick to go for the jugular, when you want to hit below the belt, and you don't even know what the F you're talking about? Oh. Let's do it. Let's do it. Me and you. I'm ready for it. I promise you I'm ready for it. I've been gathering information, prepared for this moment to let Lakers fans have it. I have been waiting. So we shall see. I already said I thought this series was going to go the distance. I thought it would go 6-7. I thought it would really be a long one. And listen, the Lakers have enough talent on their team. They can make this thing a series. Get back in this thing. No one's telling you not to. But it was very weird to me how crazy y'all thought I was for thinking that the Timberwolves were capable of an upset in this series. I'm sorry. Are we not watching the same Anthony Edwards? I'm sorry. I don't get it. So anyway, now that I've relaxed a little bit, except I haven't at all, my heart rate's still way too high. Anthony Edwards, at the end of the day, he's got the confidence. He's got that old school, new school. He's got the pure skill that we already know, but he's just got that dog in him as well. When the game is what feels like over, so long as Anthony Edwards is on that court, it's not over yet. It's just not. And you love to see players like that playing at such a high level, especially in the playoffs. This is what we have been waiting for all season. Playoff basketball is different, and it's because of guys like Anthony Edwards. And that's just it. So, 23 years old. KD, see ya. Nikola Jokić, see ya. LeBron and Luka potentially might be a see ya. What? He's him. He's him. And now I guess the question that I'll open up to the room is, how long until we see Anthony Edwards win a championship? How long? How much longer? Because I don't think it's that far off. I think that the Timberwolves have got it figured out pretty good. Their defense, they've got shooters, they've got the depth on their bench. Reed might be one of my favorite players to watch right now, outside of Anthony Edwards, honestly. Where are them Lakers fans who were on the Shannon Sharp bandwagon shouting out Lakers in 5? Cam, I don't know. I'm looking. Where art thou, Lakers fans, who had a lot to say? Cam, in typical fashion, they are hiding with their tail between their legs, shaking in their boots. Per usual. Yeah, you just love to see what Anthony Edwards is capable of doing right now and how competitive he is and how exciting he is to watch. You love it. You love it. You love it. Okay. Enough gassing up the rest of the league. Let's talk about the Denver Nuggets. Woo! Okay. Hey, woo! Aaron Gordon, AG. Wow, wow, wow. What a play. But that game, if we're going to keep it real and keep it honest here, that game had no business making me that freaked out. Is that a fair thing to say? That game had no business making me want to freak out the way that it did, okay? If I'm not mistaken, either super late in the third or early in the fourth, this Nuggets team was up by 22. I'm not talking first quarter, second quarter. No. I'm talking third and fourth quarter. Towards the end of the game, this Nuggets team was up by 22. Okay, so why is it coming down to literally a fraction of a second with Aaron Gordon? Because it's the Denver Nuggets and they love to make us sweat it out. And I love them. So it's fine. I'll let it go. But cannot do that against the Clippers. You just can't. You really, really can't. The Nuggets had their best quarters in the first and in the third, which we've seen a lot throughout this season. Those being really strong quarters for them. This Clippers team is just good. And they're hot. They've been hot since April. Okay. It's April now. I meant March. Oh! I need an energy drink. You're probably sitting there watching going, no, you don't. I do. And I'd love one. But since March, the Clippers have been one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Yeah. So this whole foot on gas, foot off gas situation that we're doing, it's not going to work. And I get it. You're tired. I get it. When you lack depth, unfortunately, the starters are going to be a little gassed, a little winded, a little exhausted. That is expected. However, you got to figure it out. And ultimately, in that game, I felt like, and I guess we can pull up I don't really want to get super into the box score stuff. Also, let me, okay. I was checking to make sure that we didn't have any more clips coming in. We'll check out the box score here, but I would imagine I already know the answer to this and I don't want to spend too much time on it. See? So this is what you expect. This is why I think this is why this is going to be a tough one to predict. Not always do you get a 4-5 series that really feels like it is bing, bonk, but the whole game, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, down to the final seconds. Outside of game 3, that one was bad. Oh, Lord have mercy, that one was bad. Outside of game 3, these games have been very close, very competitive, very back and forth, down to the wire, if you will. That's what you expect out of a 4-5 series, but you don't always get that. We're kind of getting that here. The Nuggets and the Clippers made the same amount of three-pointers in game 4. Field goal percentage, pretty evenly matched. The Nuggets 46%, the Clippers 44%. Free throws, same exact amount of times at the line, same exact amount of free throws made. You know what I'm saying? Very evenly matched here. Rebounding, pretty even. The Nuggets out-rebounded in total the Clippers by 4. Math is hard at times. 4. Steals, almost the exact same. Blocks, the Clippers had 1 more block. Turnovers! What do you know it? The Nuggets had more turnovers. Imagine if they hadn't, because the Clippers were able to score 16 points off of turnovers. That does make a huge difference. So you watch this game be very evenly matched. You watch this Nuggets team go up by as many as 22. And then you watched in the final seconds of the game Aaron Gordon have to be the superhero because the game got way too close. And I do think so much of that is just when they get tired, they get a little more untidy. Those turnovers start to be a little bit more prevalent. You give this Clippers team another opportunity with the basketball in their hands. You just don't want to see that. So turnovers have been, in my opinion, one of the demises of the Nuggets this season. They have struggled with that all season long. So you want to see those things tidied up a little bit more in Game 5. This series is tied. So in my opinion, for the Denver Nuggets, you forget completely about Game 3. Forget it. Let it go. It already happened. You already got embarrassed. You tidied a lot of things up in Game 4. You tied the series because of that. It's a fresh start. In my opinion, every time that series is tied, it's a fresh start. And it's even better for the Nuggets because they're coming back home. This is a must win for Denver. Must win. I'm telling you now. If the Nuggets don't win Game 5, they don't win the series. That is how strongly I feel about Game 5 needing to be won by Denver. You could have smoked these guys in Game 4. You gave up a 22-point lead. They are waiting for you to make a mistake. This Clippers team knows you don't make all your free throws. They know you will turn the ball over, and they are waiting for you to do it. The team that makes the least amount of mistakes overall in this series will win this series because it is very evenly matched from 3-point percentage to field goal percentage to rebounding. Every game outside of Game 3 has been pretty evenly matched. So this Clippers team is just waiting for this Nuggets team to continue making mistakes. The turnovers have to be a little tighter. You can't afford to have to lose the turnover battle against one of the hottest teams in the NBA. You just can't. So to me, Game 5 is mandatory for Denver. Mandatory. One, to prove to themselves that Game 3 was just whatever it was, you let it go and you move on, right? You can't hold on to that forever. But also to take advantage of that home court. Because if the Clippers are able to steal a win in Game 5 and then take it back home and only need one more win, I fear they are better suited and more prepared in a back against the wall situation to get the job done. If I'm being fully transparent, I mean this with zero disrespect, I don't trust the Nuggets enough to believe that in a do or die back against the wall situation, they will prevail over the Clippers. I'm not there yet. Do I know that they're capable of that? Yes. I love this team. This is one of my favorite teams, not just because they're my home team, but because I love the talent on this roster. However, I haven't seen it working consistently enough to believe that of these two teams that are in a do or die back against the wall spot, that I trust the Nuggets more than I trust the Clippers. So Game 5 to me is mandatory. Absolutely mandatory. I talked on the post-game show on Saturday about the fact that we have not yet seen the Jamal Murray playoff heroics. We haven't seen that yet. Does he have that in his arsenal? Of course he does. It's Jamal Murray. We know he's got it. We haven't had to see it yet, but I love to see it in Game 5. Back at home, series tied. I want to see Jamal Murray be that playoff superhero that we know he can be. We actually have a clip from him speaking today at Nuggets practice. I want to hear what he has to say. We'll reconvene, and then we're also hearing from Christian Braun, who I would argue has shown up the most this series in this last game, Game 4. So first, let's hear what Jamal Murray has to say, potentially about how their last game went, but also how they think Game 5 may go. So let's check that out.
The entire team expended so much energy defensively. How difficult is that in a 7-game series? How much is that tax on you?
I mean, that's what the playoffs are about, just playing hard and competition and getting over that hump. So we're ready for it. We know what we're getting into, and it's just fun to kind of play that kind of basketball.
Can you take me through your vantage point on the game winner for Aaron Gordon? I saw you there at the top of the key, but what was your vantage point when you saw Nikola Jokić just put the ball up? Did you think it was going to go in right away? What were you thinking? What were you seeing?
I mean, with him shooting, there's always a chance, but no. I could just tell by the way he shot it and this trajectory of the ball landed in AG's hands perfectly, and it was a wrap from there.
How much momentum or juice can you guys carry over from the way that game ended, pulling out that dramatic
It's
win?
good. I mean, we can't dwell on it. That was a couple days ago. Obviously, we have a game tomorrow, and we got to focus on and get that dub. You know, we don't put that work to waste, so it's on the next for us.
What did you see on film just in terms of what that zone was able to do to affect you guys in the fourth quarter?
I just thought we got conservative, and we just, kind of let the aggression just turn. They kind of turned it up, and we just kind of relaxed or tried to coast, to the rest of the game. And in the games like this, you got to play aggressive all the way through, miss or make, and that's really what the game's about.
How hard is it to fight that mindset when you guys are up so much, 22 in the fourth quarter, and just like, okay, we got this? And like, how hard is it to not coast in that situation?
Every game is different. Some games you don't coast, and then same thing happens. It's just basketball. That's the way the ball bounces.
Jamal, have you guys played your best basketball yet?
No, I don't think so. Do you?
No.
Okay.
Jamal, you talked about setting the tone and not letting the refs kind of dictate or the Clippers dictate physically. How do you guys think you responded in Game 4 in that category?
I think it was good. I just think we got to do more of it. I think there's 3 more games left. I think it's going to be even a heightened alertness to that. And I think, over the years, the refs do a good job of just kind of adapting to how the game goes. And, especially in the last 3 games where it's best out of 3 and everything's on the line, I think it's going to be the same thing and more. So we got to bring that same kind of intensity and the same kind of focus like we did to start the game. And that desperation feeling that we need to have.
Jamal, seems like Game 5 got really physical, or Game 4 rather, got really physical. Do you like when basketball gets physical like that?
100% is fun. For me it's fun. It just makes the game more interesting and less guys to let shoot the true emotion, the true skill, and it's fun brand of basketball.
When you take a couple steps up on the guy with the ball, I mean, you can get away with that in the playoffs. They're not calling as much. A regular season, can you? And you defend as heavily in the regular season versus playoffs?
I think this obvious answer, no.
Yeah.
Jamal, you spoke back like a little bit ago about during 2021-22, you and Mike were rehabbing together. You got closer with him. Just can you give us a perspective on like when you knew his toughness was at that level?
I think it was once I knew the extent of the injury. You really don't know what somebody's going through or what they've been through until they kind of describe it to you or maybe touch on the same kind of things that you did and stuff like that. So, just kind of going from what knowing like his move, bro. Just knowing what he went through and how he's able to play through that, and the level that he's able to play through, the physicality that he's able to play through year in after year and after a rough start to his career, just being healthy. I think it speaks a lot to his mental toughness, not just to get over one hump, but to continually get over through that hump year after year. So I think that's super underrated. People don't obviously don't know a lot about you or the story that you have. So to answer your question, yes, I think that toughness will be shown, and even just mentally, coming off a bad game, you can come back and have a great game. That's just part of the mental toughness, the resilience that he has. So
it is really tough when players deal with injuries because I definitely don't put a ton of consideration into injuries, and I can be a little harsh, and I very much understand that about myself. It's hard though, and I want to play the devil's advocate of that. Nuggets fans that may be frustrated by Michael Porter Jr.'s not being as present and valuable in these playoffs. Injury, there's only so much that fans, if you're injured to the point where you're having a 3-point performance, then maybe you shouldn't have played. What is that risk versus reward there by playing Michael Porter Jr. when he is battling an injury versus preserving Michael Porter Jr. when he's in full health and you can really utilize him? Let's say this Nuggets team advances to round 2. I don't think the injuries are going to slow down anytime soon. So that's where, okay, Michael Porter Jr. has a 3-point game. Who else is making up for the fact that Michael Porter Jr. had a 3-point game? And that's where the selfless basketball has to shine through. Everyone in the NBA is going to have an off night or an off game, or their threes aren't going to fall, whatever the case may be, or they're, dealing with injury. That's normal. That's expected. But who's making up for it in those moments? I think Jamal Murray being back at home with a series tied, I anticipate we get some of those superhero heroics by Jamal Murray that we often get in the playoffs. I think it's a big game for Jamal Murray. I'm likely going to take all of his overs because I really do think this is a moment where he shines, where he knows. I think the Nuggets know, just like I know, Game 5 really does feel like a must win in order for this Nuggets team to get the momentum they need before they go back on the road and head back to Los Angeles. Really quickly, you never know where the hail will hit when the summer storms come. And the last thing you want to be doing is being caught scrambling when it does, battling your neighbors for an appointment, or being left with no other option than to settle for one of those storm chasing roofers that comes to your town. So make your call before the storm. Call Accurate America at 303-900-ROOF. They'll partner with you on navigating your insurance, and they'll provide quick, professional, and knowledgeable service using the latest technology and 3D modeling. Their work is guaranteed as long as you own your home, so don't scramble at the last minute. Call before the storm. Call Accurate America at 303-900-ROOF. Accurate America, experts in roofing and exteriors. Okay, before we get out of here, we also have some sound from Christian Braun at practice today. We know offensively he wasn't producing at his highest level that we've seen all season. I mean, during the season, I think he exceeded a lot of expectations in terms of what he was doing offensively. We weren't seeing that a ton in those first 3 games. But this last game, I felt like you really started to see him get a little bit more comfortable. And the energy that he brings constantly, his competitive nature feels contagious to me as a fan, and I would imagine it does for his teammates as well. But let's hear really quickly what CB had to say about where the Nuggets stand right now at practice earlier today. We got a chance to talk to him. Shout out to Jet Life for going over to Ball Arena, one of the hardest workers I know, and getting us this sound. But let's hear from Christian Braun really quick.
Does that stuff that happened before halftime, is that just a product of a playoff series? He's sick of you, you're sick of him. It didn't seem like too hard a foul you gave him.
Yeah, I think that it's just, two competitive guys that have to guard each other for, the whole game. And obviously it's a physical game. Obviously the series has been great, man. The basketball's been great. I think around the league the basketball's been really good and fun to watch. But it's been physical, and that's just all that is. Two guys that, like I said, have guarded each other for a ton of minutes and are going to continue to guard each other for a ton of minutes. So it's fun. It's fun to compete with him. Obviously all the different things he throws at us and how good he is. And it's just fun to, compete at a high level, and that's just what comes with it. And I think that that moment, is going to elevate the series and make the series more fun to watch for everybody. It's going to be more fun to play in, if we continue to be, have that level of competitiveness.
You were smiling back at him. He had nothing to say when he was talking to you?
It's just basketball.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's fun. I think it makes the game more fun. This is what playoff basketball is about. You don't want to go through a series where everybody's buddy and everybody's, laughing and having fun and helping each other up. I think Nick Batum in the second half, went to go help one of our guys up, and he was like, "Man, this is playoff basketball, and it's, it's fun. It's more fun like this." And I think that this is what you want. This is the type of series you want to play in. And so, yeah, it's nothing more than just two guys that are competitive and, are enjoying competing. And I think that frustration comes with that.
Such a professional response. Now here comes the non-professional response. Christian Braun was likely smiling in James Harden's face because he knows James Harden is not about that action. James, shame on you, number one. If you are going to wind your hand back to joust someone in the neck, you better make it land. Okay, the only reason you didn't get ejected from that game is you don't know how to throw a punch. How embarrassing. Now that I'm done being petty, I will also say we've seen enough of these moments from Christian Braun to know that he is about that action. If you recall him dunking on Rudy Gobert, he didn't care that Rudy got all up in his feelings. And then when Russell Westbrook came out of nowhere, Rudy Gobert wanted nothing to do with it. There are certain players in this league that are about that action, and there are certain players that are not. I fear James Harden, as much respect as I have for him, he is not about that action. James, settle down. And we have to give credit where credit is due. Christian Braun has done an amazing job at trying to contain James Harden. At the end of the day, that is a tough task for a guy that I wouldn't say is our best defensive player by any means, but his effort is constantly there. And so much of defense is effort. Just make an effort, and Christian Braun will always bring that. And so, yeah, there's probably a world where James Harden was getting a little sick of not SGA. I just read a comment. Sick of Christian Braun getting in his face and got a little rattled and uncomfortable by it and decided to puff up his chest and make a big scene and make a big hoopla, not realizing that CB is about that action. James, if you're going to throw a punch, please throw it properly. You know? Like I said, Zubats with the block of the game, keeping James Harden safe from Aaron Gordon, because Aaron Gordon had a look in his eyes like he didn't care if he was ejected. He was pissed. But like CB said, it does make the series more exciting. And I'm sorry, I don't know if it's because I come from an era of being a competitive dancer where we were told things that were probably in this day and age extremely offensive and could potentially get a coach canceled, but that was just how I grew up in sports. Nobody was sugarcoating anything. They called it like it was. And my parents didn't sugarcoat anything. If I went home and complained about a practice, typically the first question back was, well, what did you do wrong? Oh, I beg your pardon. I don't want to have to self-reflect. No. I'd rather you be upset with them. Well, that's not how my parents raised me. And so maybe I just come from an era where I'm like, you aren't supposed to be friends with these people. They're your enemy right now. You can respect them, of course. Keep it respectful. But like CB said, we're not buddy-buddy. We're trying to win. And I love that. And that's the energy he brings to Denver. And I love that. So the Nuggets tied 2-2 versus the Clippers. They will play at home tomorrow night in Ball Arena, hopefully getting a win. Like I said, Game 5 to me does feel mandatory for Denver before they go back to Los Angeles. So my fingers and my toes will be crossed. This has been another episode of Guerrilla Sports Off Court. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm Liv Moods, and this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you save some money. So head to trustedamerican.com to see if they can do that for you, getting you a better interest rate, lowering your monthly payments. Shout out to our friends over at Trusted American. And make sure you are following Guerrilla Sports on all things socials. We just hit 6,000 followers on Twitter. Whoop, whoop. We are giving you our very best efforts at delivering you the best content in Denver for Colorado Avs, Colorado Rockies, Denver Broncos, and the Denver Nuggets. So make sure you are following us on all things socials, as well as subscribed to our YouTube. I will be live following the post-game or for the post-game show tomorrow night following Game 5. So make sure you've got our notifications turned on so you don't miss anything. I will be live tomorrow night to recap, hopefully, a dub for Denver. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Liv Moods signing off. Go Nuggets, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.